In this video, I'm going to talk about the power of upfront disclosure, why it's actually in your best interest as a homeowner selling a house to disclose everything from the beginning. Put all your cards on the table on day one. Now you may be thinking, that is counterintuitive. Why would I disclose issues and problems with my house to the potential buyers? They're not going to write me a contract. Or if they do, they're not going to give me a full price offer. They're going to ask me to reduce my price or fix this, give me money for this and that. That may be true if you disclose without any strategies. But in this video, I'm going to share with you the strategies that I use with my clients. And this strategy works in buyer's market as well as in seller's market and anywhere in between. So first, I'll give you 10 reasons why sellers benefit from upfront disclosure. And then I'll give you some examples. So from those examples, these benefits will become more obvious. And then from those examples, I'll extract the strategies and highlight them for you so you can use those strategies in your own specific situation to sell your house. And you can sell it with the maximum profit in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress. So here are the 10 reasons why sellers benefit from upfront disclosure. Reason number 1, it builds trust with buyers. Remember, buyers are excited to put an offer on your house. They're also anxious and worried whether they're going to find problems and issues either during inspection, home inspection, or after they move in. They don't want to spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 unexpectedly, unplanned, to fix something that might become issue with the functionality of the house. So by disclosing upfront, you actually earn their trust immediately from the very beginning. Number 2, reduces likelihood of renegotiation. So when you disclose upfront, you're actually going to disclose with strategy. You're going to disclose the problem with the solution. How you're going to move forward. You and the buyer are going to move forward with this problem. How it's going to be negotiated, handled. You suggest a solution for that. So therefore, the likelihood of them renegotiating is reduced. It attracts serious buyers. When you put your house on the market, out of, let's say, 10 people who come and look at your house, some of them are not going to be serious buyers. They're going to be buyers who are not even financially vetted. They're not even mentally or emotionally ready to buy a house. But the ones who are serious, who have been on the market and looking around, they have seen other houses, and they have some experience of this neighborhood, what kind of house goes out of market quickly, which one's been, which one's been sitting on the market for a while. And when they see your house with full disclosure, they're going to seriously consider it. It's going to make it even more attractive because, hey, from day one, they know what they have to deal with. Number 4, it limits legal liability. It is especially true for most of the states. There are just a handful of states that, including Virginia, that have seller-friendly laws. Like Virginia, we say it's buyer beware state, which just means sellers are not required legally. They're not required to disclose any issues or problems with their house. Even if they know some problem exists, they're not legally required to disclose. But I'm recommending, hey, Virginia homeowner, when you're selling a house, the best thing to do is to disclose the problems. Hopefully, from the examples, it'll become more obvious why that's true. Number 5, it speeds up the due diligence process on the buyer side. So when they're doing home inspection, they only discover stuff that you already disclosed. So they don't have to call a contractor to get some things fixed. You've already proposed a solution. So there's less work for them to do. So that shortens the time for them to drop the home inspection contingency. Number 6, it improves negotiating position. I think it was already obvious why that would be the case, because from the beginning, the ball will be in your court. You're going to propose the solution with the problem. That's the strategy. Number 7, it prevents deal collapse late in the process. I think that's self-explanatory. It creates competitive bidding environment. This is especially true during seller's market. Let's say you have your house on the market. Maybe there are 2 other houses on the market in the neighborhood, and there are, let's say, 6 people looking for a house. So that's seller's market, right? There are more buyers than the number of houses available. So 6 people are looking for a house. There are only 3 of the houses, and your house, because you watched this video, you've disclosed everything. And this is a seller's market where people are looking at the houses for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then they write a contract so they don't lose that house. And sometimes, unfortunately for the buyers, they waive their right to inspect the house. So they're just blindly putting a contract. I hope there's no big major problems, but we really want to buy this house. Otherwise, it'll be gone. So in that case, just imagine the buyers are looking at your houses. All 6 buyers are looking at these 3 houses, yours included, and yours have full disclosure. And these buyers are more likely to waive the home inspection contingency. And they're going to have to write a contract immediately. Otherwise, they're going to lose the house. Whose house do you think they'll be comfortable writing a contract for if they're fairly similar houses, similar price ranges, similar everything, except yours have full disclosure, full strategic disclosure? All right. Number 9, it demonstrates confidence in your offering, because you're saying, here's my house, here's all the good things with my house and some issues with my house, but I have a solution that I'm proposing how we're going to handle this problem or issue. Number 10, it reduces emotional strain. No more of, I don't know what the buyer's going to find out during home inspection. Are they going to ask me to reduce my price? Are they going to ask me to fix this, repair that, give me money for this, that? No more unnecessary worries. So those are the 10 benefits. Let me give you some examples. First, I'll give you an example that you may not even have thought that it is a problem. At first hand, it's not going to look like it's a problem at all. But I'm suggesting to go ahead and disclose this kind of problem. A couple decide to sell their house, and they call me in. I come over to their house, and they're talking about their house, their experience with the house. They love their house. They love to talk about their house. And one of the things that they mentioned to me is about 5 years ago, during a stormy, windy day, a tree branch fell on their roof, damaged their roof. And about a week later, they found out, because they started seeing this brown spot on their ceiling, that the roof was leaking. So they called a roofing contractor. They came and fixed the problem. And they've been monitoring it, and that brown spot stop getting larger. And when they go in the attic, that area that the water was dripping, it's dry, it's staying dry for many weeks and months and years. And obviously they got that brown spot fixed. So when you go inside, you can't see the brown spot. When you go outside, problem's gone. Now you may be thinking, are you suggesting you disclose this? Yes. Even though it's not a problem right now, it might be a problem when a buyer puts a contract with a home inspection contingency. What they do is they come back with their home inspector, and the home inspector is going to check everything around the house, including the basement. They're going to go up the ladder with their flashlight. They're going to look around and they're going to say, oh, I see a water stain on the rafter and on the panels. I don't know if it's an ongoing issue or not. Mr. Buyer, I found a problem. Now the anxious, worried buyer is going to be even more anxious, and they're going to be thinking, oh, what other problems are there? So if there are other problems that have not been disclosed, then the negotiation is going to be difficult to deal with. Even though it's not a problem, it actually increases the anxiety. It reduces the buyer's trust, increases their anxiety and worry about issues and problems with the house. And if it's combined with other problems, it can escalate the problem. Of course, I recommend them to disclose this information. And this is how the disclosure might look like. It would be a booklet. And this booklet doesn't have to be just problems after problems. It can be all the good things you've done to the house, all the money you've been pouring into the house, renovations, upgrades, if you added a bathroom, a bedroom, if you replaced the windows, whatever good things you've done, whatever love you've been pouring to this house, it can be all in there. It can also include the disclosures. For example, in this example, you'll say all the things that happened 5 years ago, and it's been no problem, but if they go into the attic, you'll see the watermarks. That'll be the disclosure. So the same thing happens, a buyer walks in, they love the house, put a contract, bring their home inspector. Home inspector looks in the attic and says, oh, there's a brown spot, blah, 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 blah. The buyer's going to say, oh, yeah, that must be the spot that they're talking about. Yeah, it's an old thing that's been fixed. That's not a problem. An old thing? Oh, okay, yeah. It does look like an old stain that they must have fixed it up. Okay, yeah, no problem. They're not even going to include that in the report, probably. So that's the difference. The strategy is disclose something that was a problem before, and it's no longer a problem. If you fixed it, you can tell them who fixed it, how it's been fixed, how it's been no longer a problem in the past so many days, weeks, months, years. Especially if it's something that home inspector can see the evidence of something not working well before, like the roof leakage, or if there's been flooding in the basement, and if they can see like a faint yellow line just above the slab, especially if you have unfinished basement area, home inspectors are really good, or good home inspectors are really good. They have all these gadgets, they've been to so many houses, so if you're wondering, I wonder if the home inspector is going to find this issue, they probably will. That's the thing. If you're like thinking of taking a chance and thinking, oh, we'll just take a chance, it's probably going to be found, whatever the issue is. Unless it's like really, really well hidden, it's probably going to be found. Plus, do you really want to sell something that you consciously know that there's some issue that might be a problem in the future, and you're just hoping that these buyers never find out? Just think of how much of a stress that is in your unconscious mind. The other example that I have for you is like an active problem example. So this happens. This kind of thing happens just at the perfect time. You and your realtor planning to sell the house, getting it ready, staging, cleaning, doing all this work, and then like day before, 2 days before you put it on the market, dishwasher starts to leak. And you're like, oh my gosh, really? Oh, I don't have time to fix this. Or I don't have time to replace the dishwasher. I don't want to delay the market time. Oh, let's just not disclose it. Maybe they'll never find out. Bang. They will find out. Obviously, when people come into the house to just look at the house during that 10, 20, 30 minutes, they're probably not going to find out. But if they come back with their home inspector, they will find out. Actually, one of the first things that home inspectors do is to run the dishwasher to make sure it's running correctly. And they're going to run all the faucets, turn on the oven, turn on the AC, crank it up all the way up, crank it down all the way cool to see if the AC and the heating system works. They're going to check all the outlets, turn on and off all the switches and lights. They're going to go in the attic, in the basement, or in the crawl space, outside, inside. They're going to use their gadgets to look in nooks and crannies. They're going to look everywhere for any potential problems. And when they run the dishwasher and then they start walking around the house, they're not even going to realize that the dishwasher's flooding until it's too late. Until either there's a puddle of water or until the whole kitchen is flooded. I'm not even going to talk about what happens if they flood your house. That's a nightmare. But instead, you're going to disclose. You can disclose in three different ways. One, you can say it like this. Right before we put the house on the market, the dishwasher started to leak. We will not have time to replace it before the home inspection, but we will replace it with the same model or similar model before the final walkthrough. So during home inspection, please do not run the dishwasher. So that's version number one. Version number two is you'll say the same thing and you say, we looked up similar model at Home Depot and it runs between $400 and $600, let's say. And I'll give you $600 so that you can take that money, you can add more money to upgrade the model, but during home inspection, please do not run the dishwasher. So that's version number two. Version number three is, hey, the dishwasher started leaking, but we did not have time to replace it, and we probably will not have time to replace it. But we adjusted our asking price to consider this issue. There it is. During home inspection, do not run the dishwasher. We're going to sell this house with the dishwasher in this condition. So now, buyer walks in, looks at the disclosure. They can negotiate to choose one version with the other. If they see version one, they might say, oh, can we do something like version two? Or version three, whatever they prefer, they can come up with that idea from their own head and suggest that idea. But you already proposed one route to move forward with this problem. And then when they come back with their home inspector, they're not going to run the dishwasher. And if they do, it's their problem. They have to take care of whatever water problem they created. That's the strategies you can use for anything that is broken, that needs some fix up, that needs some touch up, whatever the problem may be, you can approach the problem. You can disclose the problem using one of these 3 strategies. In general, the problems that buyers are scared of are big ticket items that costs a lot of money. Anything that encloses the house from the outside environment. So the roof, the siding, the windows, the exterior doors, although exterior doors are not super costly, maybe $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000. Other big ticket items include foundation problems like settling foundation or cracked foundation. They're worried about water problems like basement flooding or mold in the wall, behind the bathroom walls, in the exterior walls, or in the basement. Other big ticket items include the HVAC system, the heating and cooling machines, old plumbings, old electric panels, a big maintenance work coming up, or things that would cost $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to get it fixed, get it functional. What they really want is to move into a house and not have any headache for at least a year, 2 years, 3 years. The longer, the better. All right. So some of the things that some of the disclosures you could make that may not be obvious are the ages of your system, like the HVAC system. Especially if they're getting towards the end of its lifetime, you want to disclose that information. And also go ahead and get some quotes. If your HVAC system is 20 years old, it is kind of getting towards the end of its life. Get quotes, at least 3 quotes from the contractors. For in Northern Virginia, the quotes might look like $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 to replace HVAC system in a typical size house, like 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, let's say. Just include the quote, disclose the age of your machinery, and say, we've considered this factor into our asking price. Same thing with the roofing. If your roof is old, let's say 25 years old, but it's still functioning, there's no rain water going through the roof, you may be thinking, well, it's not a problem. But if you've already adjusted your price because you compared your houses with the neighboring house who sold for, X, Y, and Z price, and they have newer roof, and you say, well, everything is very similar to this neighbor's house, but since our roofing is old, we'll ask for just a little bit less. Well, if you've already adjusted your asking price, say, hey, have a disclosure saying, hey, my roof is 25 years old. It costs, you can call a contractor and get some quotes. Let's say $10,000, $11,000, $14,000 quotes for that similar size of house. The quotes could vary. It could be significantly more than $10,000 or $15,000, depending on the geometry, the number of roofs meeting each other, and all the steep. Anyway, just get some quotes, at least 3 quotes, and say, a roof is 25 years old. We've gotten these quotes, and here are the quotes from the contractors. And we've already considered this factor into our asking price. So you're not going to have a kind of a situation where a buyer walks in, looks around, their home inspector says, hey, Mr. Buyer, the roof is very old. I don't know how long it's going to last, but you're going to have to replace the roof in the near future. So instead of the buyer panicking and saying, oh, maybe I should ask for some money for this, Well, you've got a disclosure. You've already told them that you've adjusted the price. They're not going to, they're very unlikely to say, hey, I didn't realize you had old roof, so reduce your asking price, please. No, you've already got disclosure. You've already read this before you put a contract. So, and this disclosure doesn't have to be just this booklet where somebody could completely just miss. That information will be delivered by your realtor to the other realtor to make sure that the buyer who's writing a contract on your house reads and it's part of the contract. So they can't say, "Oh, you didn't tell me. I didn't know that that booklet was on your kitchen counter. I didn't want to touch somebody's stuff." All right, let's see. I think that's all I wanted to say. Let me just review the 10 benefits that I gave you earlier. I said builds trust with buyers, reduces likelihood of renegotiation, attracts serious buyers, limits legal liabilities, speeds up the due diligence process, improves negotiating position, prevents deal collapse late in the process, creates competitive bidding environment, demonstrates confidence in your offering, and reduces emotional strain. There you have it. 10 compelling reasons why full upfront disclosure isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, especially in today's world where information is abundant. Buyers are getting more and more savvy, home inspection technologies are advancing. Transparency isn't just an option, it's becoming more and more of an expectation. If you're able to embrace that and use the disclosure strategies wisely, I bet you will have a successful sale. So good luck with the sales of your house. I wish you the best. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you want to ask me a question privately, you can go into my website, achmavan.com, go into the contact page, ask me a question there. I'm Achma, realtor in Sterling, Virginia, your guide to maximize the value of your house. Thank you for watching.